I could talk about anything, anytime, anywhere. So let's hit it with part three. I'm pretty fired up today. I feel like we
I
got a
think
good.
we need a part three on our quantum leap, leaping in from one fishbowl into another fishbowl. Because some of us, get hung up on the logistics. And I feel like we gotta talk some logistics. We've
Mm-hmm.
identified what it takes to leap from one fishbowl into another, into a completely different reality. We've talked about the creation and pulling something out of your ass, if you will, when it comes to creating a new reality you've never seen before and how to do that and what that looks like. But now that we've created our reality, how do we get there? We have to close the gap.
Um,
We have to take the
uh,
uncomfortable actions. We have to get resourceful and creative with what that actually looks like. So,
yeah, cool.
ta
This is a
what do you think?
great place to jump in, right? So if we're in a current, so just kind of going back in case you didn't listen to the last two episodes, and we're on episode three, okay? Like kind of going back, you're in a fishbowl, you're in a paradigm, you're in a thing, and you want to create something else. And so that's like a big leap to take for most people. Like we're going to go here and we're going to go there. So what does that look like? For some people, it's my one client who wanted to be a luxury real estate agent. And she wanted to close luxury deals, but she was only like her biggest deal was 770,000. So that's a big leap in her framework. So if you're looking for a business big leap, a monetary big leap, that's literally what we're talking about. And so, I think in step one or part one, we're looking at like, okay, well, you have to understand you're in a framework. And then what is that framework about? What is that framework? How are you making decisions? What are you choosing? Why are you choosing what you're choosing? And then we're going to take you to the next level. Right. So I think that foundation just has to be there before we like unleash. Is there anything else we would say about the foundation of the conversation before we start unleashing into like
No,
next
I
level?
think that's great. I think also when you're talking about like our client, for example, it's
Yeah.
not about doing baby steps to get there either. Like she jumped from 770 to 5 million, but it's not like she went 770, 900K, 1 million, 2 million, 3
Right.
million, and doing like the baby steps in between. It's
Yeah.
literally going from that reality into the new reality. And for her, it was like 8 months. So what does it look like to create an entirely new framework without all the limitations, judgments, patterns of
Yeah.
how we've been taught it works, how success
Yeah.
works,
Yeah.
and being able to open ourselves up and have malleable thinking in that way and
Yeah.
malleable reality in that way.
Well, and I think so it's really great because what you also have to do is you have to see what it like again, I'm really going to stress this. You have to see what is my current framework? What is the current framework? What is the current paradigm? What are my thoughts, feelings, and actions, and what are my belief systems? Like you have to deconstruct that because the people who have like a lot of people are like, I want that overnight success like so and so, right? I knew another gal. I love real estate agents. Oh my God. I love working with them because it's so easy to like leapfrog them really fast. But I had known another real estate agent and she lived in like $1 million neighborhood, multi-million-dollar home neighborhood. And then she decided to become a real estate agent. In her framework, there was no baby steps. In her
Mm,
framework, all she knew was multi-million-dollar homes. So when she was like, I'm just going to be a real estate agent, she just started slinging $1 million homes because that
hmm
was her framework, right? And so the framework is the thoughts, feelings, actions, and belief systems that you take and have inside of that framework. And so getting really facile, not in like, all right, well, tell me what to do. I could tell everybody what to do all day long, but if their framework is all fucked, all they're going to do is keep getting more fucked framework because the framework is fucked. Like it's always going to match, right?
hmm
And this is, did I say this? I can't remember if we talked about this before. That's like the cognitive dissonance, like what
mm,
you can actually believe exists, what you could actually see in reality. So this is also for those of you who want like an amazing relationship and you want somebody to like swoop in and take care of you and say all the loving right things. You can get it, but if you get it, you'll probably destroy it if your framework can't hold it. Right. So if your framework is, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, nobody will ever love me, but somebody comes in to like love the bejesus out of you, it doesn't match the framework. So either you're going to push that person away, destroy the relationship, or you're going to find all the flaws and like kill it off anyways. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So like that's literally what I'm talking about, is like that's so we would call that cognitive dissonance. Like that reality that you strive for can't exist in your current framework.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
so there's a dissonance. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. You touched on it a bit in the last episode, but I don't think you specifically said cognitive dissonance, and I'm glad you
Yeah.
did. But
Yeah.
it's literally what happened when I went on my second date with my now fiance. It was a second date. She ended up coming over. We were like snuggling, and I was like so overwhelmed by her
Oh,
energy. I was
yeah.
like, I need you to get off of me. I can't,
Mhm.
like, this is too much for me. And I couldn't understand if it was like because of her specifically as a person or because I couldn't just
Yeah.
receive it, like whatever love she was like emulating, if you will.
Yeah.
And I had to like do some work on myself and be like, well, what is
Mhm.
that about? Is it the person, or is it this? Is it the
Yeah.
energy? And I did some deep work for maybe a month. And I was
Yeah.
like, I got to get real clear on the love I can receive, how much love I can receive because of me growing up, like all of the limitations I put on myself and how I learned to love and how my parents taught me how to love and how I received love from my parents. Like all of that was there, and blocking the love I could receive in then a relationship. So for
Yeah.
me, I was like, well, I'm okay just dating. I don't really want something serious. I just want
Mhm.
to like whatever. And so then when she came in the picture, it was like, oh, that feels really uncomfortable. And then I had to like do my
Yeah.
own unpacking. So I say
Yeah.
that because your example of like pushing someone away or like not being able to even hold the creation, really, if there's all
Yes.
these patterns and things in the way because of your framework.
100%. And so that'll happen with money and success and relationships, and what you want for your kids and how you want that relationship to look, and your health and well-being. Like all of that can only exist in whatever framework you have. And
Mm-hmm.
so, what we're constantly doing is like deconstructing patriarchal systems and patriarchal frameworks, right? Because that's like the main system we are all surviving in. Like, I don't think anybody's thriving, really. I don't even think the oligarchy's thriving. Like, let's be real.
Yeah.
I think everybody's just surviving. And so if you're like, okay, well, how do we change it? We have to change the framework. So we're always going back to like change the framework. So getting really facile and asking those questions, like, why am I doing that? Or why am I choosing that? Or what made me say that? Or why do I have those thoughts? Or why do I feel that way? Those questions are getting underneath the surface, like, fix this, fix this, fix this. And that for me is like where the big change happens. So we have to just lay all of those pieces if we're going to talk about like the big leaps to take, because that's without, like, I kind of feel like without that, people may not be successful in the next step.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And and I sense it's nope, lost my train of thought. And I sense it's getting clear on what you're creating instead. So instead of
Mhm.
identifying the problem and just bringing the problems to the table, like what
Yeah.
is the solution that you're looking for? What is the creation that you're looking to step into?
Yeah. So 100%. So if we're, let's say we take patriarchy, for example, or the issue with the current like economic political crisis in the United States, or the health crisis in the United States, or the education crisis in the United States, or the economic, I like, we just have a lot of
The
crisis.
job market.
Which one are we going to talk about? Okay. And so, I find a lot of people, when we're stuck here in this framework dealing with the issues, it is so easy to keep focusing on all the problems. But that ain't getting us out of it. It's
Mm-hmm.
giving you you get great talking points. You get to be right about it, but I don't see change happening through it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really, if you like, you guys just have to choose. Like, as you're listening to this, you get to choose. Like, do I want change, or do I want to be right and keep talking about the same shit different day? And if you don't want to talk about the same shit different day, you got to start talking about something else.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would give you new thoughts and have you take new actions because you're talking is an action, right? You have to talk and you have to think in a different way. And so so focusing on the change, focusing on where we're actually doing better, right? That's why we're such advocates for like putting out like good news on a weekly basis that's happening globally. And it's not this cat got rescued from a tree news. It's like real fucking good global news. Like why? Because we want to inject people with that. Then in reality, this is what is also happening, not just the
Mm-hmm.
bad shit. Everybody knows bad shit, right? But this is what is also happening. And you don't want to just like put your blinders on and be like, it's all good, it's all fine, it's all blah, blah, blah. We might call that spiritual bypassing.
Mm-hmm. So it's being able to pick apart like what's working, what's not working, being the observer is what we talked about before of the reality rather than looking through rose tinted glasses, if you will.
Yeah.
Rose.
Rose colored glasses. Rose tinted is great.
Yes.
Rose.
Well, if we're looking at, we've talked about creating the new reality and like pulling from your algorithm,
Yep.
what's the
Organizing
word?
it.
Reorganizing your algorithm, retraining your algorithm,
Restructuring,
and
reorganizing, retraining. Yeah. The system
all
and like
all of the
your
above.
food. Mm-hmm.
And okay, so we have a picture of what the new reality looks like, whatever we're jumping into in our new fishbowl. And then
Mm-hmm.
what does it actually take to have that come to fruition?
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a really interesting conversation within the community this week. And like for
Yeah.
me personally, I've been doing a deep dive for myself too and getting really clear like where am I currently in my fishbowl? I'm in a fishbowl,
Mm-hmm.
Tamara's in a fishbowl, we're all still in fishbowls. Like what is my current fishbowl and what is the one I want to jump into? So like where I started,
Mm-hmm.
just to share a bit about like my journey last week, has
Mm-hmm.
been okay, what do I want it to look like 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line? Because I'm not just head coach at the Beyond Human Method, but Tamara's training me to like take over the company at the Beyond Human Method. So it's like, what kind of person do I then have to step into to be able to run a company and run a team and run
Mm-hmm.
all of the different programs and clients that we have going on within the company? What
Yeah.
are the thoughts, feelings, and actions I have to step into?
Mm-hmm.
What are like the way that I think, the way that I make decisions, the way that I strategize, the kind of life that I'm also experiencing and having, right? Tamara, am I
Mm-hmm.
missing anything so far?
No, you're doing great.
Okay. So I'm looking at all of that inside of the new reality and new fishbowl that I'm creating. And I did a 1 hour meditation a la Joe Dispenza because he has a great story that Tamara shared about his
Yeah.
daughter
Yeah.
who, like, his daughter wanted to manifest, she was like 15, wanted to manifest a shopping spree. And Joe
Mm-hmm.
Dispenza is like, well, you got to meditate as if it's already happened, not figuring out the how, not figuring out like the logistics, but like
Mm-hmm.
being in the feeling and the experience of the shopping spree. And
Yeah.
turns out like there was a friend's dad that came over and like gave them her credit card while she was like shopping around at the mall, and like she manifested it was like $7,000 shopping spree, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, let me do that myself. And I
Yeah.
saw it and I got really connected to the thoughts and the feelings and the experience of that future self version.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest takeaways that I got from that, so number one, highly recommend that for anybody who
Yeah.
is jumping into your new fishbowl, trying to create that life, trying to create that future self version, is like
Yeah.
sit and meditate with it, the thoughts, the feelings, the experience.
Yeah.
One takeaway I got for myself is the level of connection and community that I was curating and generating in that reality. So right now, the way that I connect with people is online, maybe in like messages, maybe like video chatting with people.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so committed to deep connection and like seeing people, deeply understanding people, deeply hearing people. And part of that comes from like in person. And that's something that I've really been missing, especially since like COVID, right?
Yeah.
So one thing in my new reality is like I'm just flying to LA or New York for the day to like have coffee with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like curating networking events for LGBTQ women, especially like founders and entrepreneurs and professionals who are out to make a change like me and like change their industry and be like a spearheader in their industry.
Yeah.
Being able to like connect with women more deeply in person and have that in-person connection and that community in person as well.
Mm-hmm.
one other thing was like where I was living and like what I was wearing and the style and the luxury elements that were there that I'm not experiencing right now. And so being able to paint that picture and have it all come together and notice, okay, this is the gap. This is the gap between where I am
There you
and
go.
where I want to be.
Yeah, there you go. And so that's really, so there's a couple of things that I want our listeners to be able to take away, which is first and foremost, you want to get really, really connected to whatever that vision, that experience is of the future self. And part of what Joe was saying, he's like, look, when you meditate, have that meditation be so good that it's like the real thing. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
feeling it and you're eating it and you're breathing it and you're walking it and you're thinking it, and like it's the whole thing. And so the meditation becomes the experience almost. And this is what another, I think it's like Esther Hicks would say, or Abraham Hicks would say, is like that it is so real, so vibrant, that it almost doesn't matter if it happens or not, because it was so good. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so like you start there and then there's a gap. Now in our trainings and teachings, what I have our clients do is like, okay, but we can close the gap. So we don't have to wait. We can close the gap. So how do we close the gap? Is ensuring that we're in a high vibrational state, that we're in a clear field and we've cleared any like negative lower frequencies, thoughts and feelings, so that when you take the action to close the gap, now you're in full alignment. So that was really important. And whatever I just said, rewind and like freaking write down. Okay. Cause that's like the keys to the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Because
it'll be in the
when
show notes.
that's one thing that our client did when she was going from 770 to 5 million over the course of
Yeah.
8 months. It wasn't
Yeah.
just about all these actions to take inside of real estate or reaching out to
Right.
people or like getting her business together. It
Yeah.
was about completely realigning her life
Mm-hmm.
and taking full aligned action with no doubt in the background, no fear in the background, no like hoping or wishy-washy. Bless you. Um, no doubt inside of any decisions that she was making, but
Mm-hmm.
in all of the decisions, it was about upgrading her life and her lifestyle and the kind of person that she was as a luxury real estate agent, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I've seen people do I just want to preface this. I've seen people do wild things in regards to money in order to close the gap. So we're talking about one client, but like I'll ride in a circle of friends where we do some wild ass shit. Okay. So like I'll give you a couple different examples. However, so like one gal I remember was deconstructing her money shit, and we were in Thailand. And she was on her way to Bangkok to stay for the night. And what she noticed was she wanted to close the gap between like the high end luxury hotel experience, like the lux stuff, right? And what she noticed is like and for most of us, so look for yourself. You go to spend a big amount of money on yourself. First of all, the thing that shows up is like, I don't need it, right? That's not necessary. So we don't live in a world of want. We live in a world of need. Hashtag patriarchy, right? Like, oh, if I do this, like it means blah, blah, blah. And you're going to feel shameful, or you're going to feel guilty about spending money because you don't quote unquote need it. Like that's literally unraveling the thoughts and the feelings that are happening. Hashtag patriarchy, shame and guilt. Do you see what I mean? So like all of the structure we live in is to dictate and tell us how to live based in like the framework and the glasses we're looking through. So like what she did was she knows this about herself, and she wants to like unravel it. So she's going to walk in the hotel and pay cash, not put it on a credit card and set it and forget it and just like write it off, because what she wanted to do was like in a way alchemize that experience, alchemize those feelings as they show up, like shift, move and change them, accept it, and like we teach people how to clear and move and shift in all these different ways. So she's doing that work on her own as well. But she's like 20 bill, 20 bill, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, and it's like, and what you got to like breathe through it, and you got to lean into it, and you got to accept it. And you got to be like, this is my reality. I'm like dancing in all this money. You know what I mean? And that for her was a big leap. And that for her closed the gap. And that for her was her alignment practice. Right.
Mm.
And I knew another girl, and she's like, she inherited some money. She's like, well, I'm just going to put it in the stock market. That lady knew fuck all about money. But you know what? She was like, what am I going to do? Have it like sit in a fucking bank account? She's like, no, I'll put it on some stocks. She didn't know shit about shit, but she knew her intuition and she trusted her intuition. And so she would just like buy stock and be like, okay. And then she'd be like, how long am I going to hold it? Okay. And then like she'd come back in and check out and she'd be like, okay, I'm going to sell it. It was such a large amount of money that she was like, there was no emotional, like, you know what I mean? If it's like 10 million and it drops a bit, she's not like having some emotional breakdown about it. And so she could play with it in that way where there's like no shame and guilt. And like, bitch was making some money. That's all I gotta say.
Mm-hmm.
She could like really lean into intuition, right? So when we're talking about like our client, I just want to say like one of the things she did. So we're going to talk about the action. We're going to talk about these leapfrog things. But again, I just got to lay the foundation a little bit more. Okay. Like you, because Ronnie, you can say real quick, you could be like, okay, like no shame, no guilt, no doubt, no whatever. Y'all got to be real solid in your choices.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be like, this is my future. I give up all that other caca mimi bullshit. I don't believe in shame. I don't believe in guilt. I have no doubt. It is all going my way. It's going this way. And the second it shows up, you got to be willing to go like, blah, 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 blah. That is not the reality. I'm fully in that reality. I'm fully in that future. I'm fully in that creation. I'm fully in. And if you can't be fully in, do not take the next actions.
Mm-hmm.
That's like my number one piece of advice. Don't do that. Because what without the clearing and without the full like training that we go through, this can be really haphazardous for your health.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, did I warn people enough first?
You warned adequately, yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so like if you think about it, the thing that I love about real estate agents is real estate agents are serving people in the community. Right? And like serving people in the community, a lot of real estate agents are like, you know, if we take out that like I have to close 500,000 and then 600,000 then 700,000 then 800,000, you have that belief system. But let's say we clear it out, it was gone. And you're like, but actually, literally I could jump into any closing. I could jump and I could rep anybody. Like a house is a house is a house. I bought them all, been in them all. They all the same. They all got like, you know, 4 main walls. Some of them got extra. Mine's got some extra doors, some extra like laundries and some extra fucking garages and some extra porches. Okay. But it's like, whatevs. Same. Okay. And so you just go, okay, I could attract anybody, anytime, any place that could put me in that subset.
Mm-hmm.
It can come from anywhere. What does my intuition say? Okay. Like if that's the belief system and we've cleared out everything else and you're not going to fight for your reality, that's how that can literally go. And that's how her big whale showed up, just walked in off the street and she was at the front desk. And I know many people are like, $1 million deals don't fall like walking off the street. That was one of her belief systems. Like, oh, you're about to sit at the fucking desk. Might as well make it worth your time. Why don't we clear that one? Mm-hmm. And then it was a $3 million deal that bumped up to 5. You know what I mean? So like walked in off the street. She didn't have to farm. She didn't have to send out paperwork. She didn't like that shit. You know, she didn't have to do any of that.
Mm-hmm. So tell us about some of the actions she did have to take
before
to get
that.
there. Yeah.
Before that. Yeah. So that was the thing that attracted. So here's the deal. When you're looking at the reality of your, and I'm going to say your future self, because a lot of people talk bullshit about alignment, and I think it's stupid because there's no clear, you know, alignment direction. I like to give clear, direct alignment instruction. Okay. So first is y'all have to embody. You have to align yourself in that you are an infinite being attached to all time, space, dimension, reality, and you can have anything happen. We sometimes logically think that and do fuck all about embodying it. Okay. So we think we know we're consciousness. We know that we have a soul. We know that that's how we exist. But then when it comes to rubber meets the road, we're like, oh, I can't do that. I can't have that. I couldn't create that. I couldn't da-da-da-da, right? Whatever yours I can't, so you got to get rid of. That's it. You just got to get rid of them. Okay. So you have to embody that you can literally attract and create anything you want in any reality you want. And whatever it's going to take for you to get there, get there. You want help? Reach out. We got you. Okay. The second part is, what is that future self? You got to get really clear, right? So that's what Ronnie is describing. Ronnie was like, okay, I have this future self where I'm a partner of the Beyond Human method, this methodology that I created, because for y'all listening, I know I'm only 44, but I would like to retire any moment. And I would like to hand off my company to my sister because they real smart. Okay. And so all I'm doing is I'm pouring all my time and energy into Ronnie being able to receive the company and lead the company and do the company. So we have to have like a future where Ronnie is like that asset to the company, and Ronnie is serving the company and serving the collective and serving people in that way. And so we have like, okay, well, what does that look like? What does that feel like for Ronnie? And what would we see Ronnie be doing? Is that it? Was that a weird sentence structure? Potentially. Okay. So when Ronnie gets clear, like there are actions, then we close the gap by taking those actions. We did the same thing with my client, which was getting clear that the things that she had in her field for her car and her apartment and her wardrobe and how she spent money, none of those things were in alignment with the future self. The future self. So if you are making $1 million a year, I'm just going to throw out a number. You make $1 million a year. Maybe that's too big of a jump. You make $450,000 a year. Trust me when I say that is enough money for you to feel fine. $250,000 a year. You probably doing good on 250K. Okay. So and don't go weird on thinking about taxes. Y'all get so weird about money. Like I know somebody listening to this is like, but what is that before taxes or after taxes? And like, how much am I taking home? And how, like, I don't want to make that much because then I have to pay taxes. That is all part of the old framework of shame and guilt and money weirdness. Stop doing that. Okay. So you go and you're like, okay, I did this. So my client does this and she goes out and she's like, yeah, I'm not driving a Volkswagen. Trust me when I say luxury real estate agents are not driving Volkswagens. I was like, well, what kind of car are you driving? She's still a Lexus. I said, okay. She didn't go buy the Lexus right away. That's okay. That comes later in the conversation. And then it was like, okay, she gets hip to the game that where she's living in a 1-bedroom studio, like, outside Denver, whatever, is like not her jam. And the high rise is her jam. Okay. So we get a little bit more clear. And then she gets clear like that the clothing that she's wearing, not her jam. Hires a stylist. Okay. Stylist was probably the first step, I think. So she could walk and feel and be in the kind of clothes that a luxury real estate agent was in. That stylist cost $10,000. Everybody take a breath who's listening. You listen to this. I said $10,000. That is right. Didn't include the cost of the clothes. Each shop was around sometimes more than $5,000. So that investment in and of itself was upwards of $25,000 for 1 year. But that was aligned with her future as a luxury real estate agent. She was like, of course I dropped that. Okay. Then her job and her homework assignment was to work that out and hire that agent or the stylist. That was the job. That was the next step. And then when she walked into the stylist was hip to this game. This is how the stylist works, is like aligning people in their future self. So when you go in, you don't look at prices and you don't look at like who you are. You look at like, does this feel good? And this is a new style. And like, is this me? And like, you get to examine that. And that's what the stylist was for. Like that was the first step. And that is a butt puckering step. And so when the butt pucker happens, you have to learn to release your butt. It's a metaphor, by the way. Release your butt, let it unpucker and align, breathe it in and take the next step. But no fear, no doubt, no shame, no guilt. You have to release all that. If you got any of that in the field, it's going to go sideways. It's not aligned. Because in your future self, there is no shame, there is no doubt, there is no guilt because you got all the money in the world. And you're doing you. So step 1. Mm-hmm. Step 2 came the condo. Moved into a high rise. That was her jam. high rise pool concierge downtown Denver, like all in on that. And that was another butt puckering experience. Like she kind of like, it wasn't like, you know, she had gotten a flyer from somebody else. It was like very divine how it showed up, but it wasn't like she got the flyer and then she's like, okay, yes. It was like ho hum, ho hum, ho hum. I got to clear some shit. I got to clear some shit. Okay. And when she knew she was fully aligned, she took the action.
Hmm.
Right. And then she was a little late to the game on the car. And then the car broke down on the side of the road one day and would not start. And she was like, I was late to the game. I'm like, that's how the fucking energy works. Cause law of attraction, you said you were going to change it. You didn't change it. She goes, yep, I'm going to dealership today. But even the experience of the dealership, she was like, look, I don't want to haggle. My future self does not have a haggle. That is not what I'm doing. I want to go in, I'm just buying a car, whatever, stick a bow on it, and I want to get the fuck out of Dodge. And like that was her experience, right? And she breathed in and released, right? Every fucking action. I even remember I was like something about Black Friday sales. She's like, I know, but like I don't want to do that. My future self doesn't care. My future self just buys what it wants to buy. There's no Black Friday bullshit. And I was like, rock on, sister.
Hmm.
Right? All those things were in alignment so that this future came right into being. And but like opening up the channel for every single time you have a judgment of how this is going to go or a belief system on how this is going to go. And you got to be like building the muscle to analyze those motherfuckers because they sneaky too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did I miss anything? I think it was good.
No, I think you did great.
Yeah.
So I'm curious because, like, I've heard this story a few times, and it makes sense to me. Like, taking the action on all the things in your reality that are out of alignment, bringing them into alignment, and then the future self can then come to fruition because everything else in reality is then in alignment. So then the universe has no choice but to match it now, right?
So it makes sense to you 100% and always has?
Always is a strong word. But
Okay.
anyway, I'm curious because she didn't have $10,000 laying around in her bank account. And when it comes to creating your future self, sometimes it involves getting resourceful, getting creative, thinking outside the box, not having the resources like immediately available to you because you've been functioning in this fishbowl for so long. Of course, you wouldn't have the resources available to you at the moment. So, was there a way that she got resourceful or got creative that you can remember, or?
No, because I think that's also it. There wasn't like when you start to look at, by the way, at that point, she had already hired me. Like that was really the first step. Do you know what I mean? And that can be a butt puckering step for people who've never hired a coach, you know, but like the investment, like seeing what she was doing as an investment is different than how most people view money. And this is how we train people to look at money, right? So people will be like, well, look, I'm going to hire a lot of times people who hire me as a coach or the company as a coach or to do the programs is like, a lot of times they've already worked in sort of like some other coaching capacity because we end up being like the varsity game. Okay. We're working in energy where everybody else is working in logistics, right? Logistics is going to get you so far, but energy takes you through the roof. Okay. So people who've already worked inside of some other coaching practice they notice that it's an investment. It's an investment in themselves, like from a business aspect, right? Like somebody goes to therapy and they're like, okay, this is an investment in my happiness. Right. So if you're trained in looking at the things that you do as an investment, what you're saying is like, if I put my money in here, it's going to come back to me. Okay. Which is different than how most people spend money because #patriarchal framework. Why am I hashtagging on a fucking podcast? Okay. So the framework is going to tell you And this is for people who don't have money, not the ultra wealthy. If you're in like a struggling subset of group of people with money, you're going to latch on to, say, Dave Ramsey, who's going to teach you that debt's wrong and you should pay off your house. And you're going to think that that's the right way to do it. And then you're going to think that anything that you spend your money on and credit card on, well, it's got to be justified and it's got to definitely be a need. And those wants are going to be frivolous. This is kind of where we started this conversation, right? Mm-hmm. So the framework that you're in with money is actually not the one the ultra wealthy sit in. Ultra wealthy, right, have assets, businesses, and companies, and they're always leveraging them. That is how they make money and spend money. So somebody isn't like getting a paycheck and that's all they have. These people are like, well, look, I have an investment, I have an asset, or I have a business, or I have a fucking Lamborghini, or I have this, or I have that. Okay? And then they leverage that asset. They're always leveraging the asset. Doesn't matter what the asset is. Sometimes it's art. And they take out loans on the asset. And then they go to a bank and they go, I want to take out a loan on this asset. And the bank goes, great, we'll give you a loan since we have collateral. And we're going to give you like, this loan, this money at 5-6%. And the person's like, great. They don't get a paycheck. They just keep taking out loans on their assets. So they might be real in debt with lots of loans. But because that framework is completely different, the people who are in the I need to get out of debt framework will never see it. It doesn't exist in their reality. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, so I know if you're listening to this, I'm not saying go buy fucking artwork. That's not what I'm saying. You could. That's just not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this first step is to see that the things that you're doing are investing in yourself. And that investment in yourself, if you look at it, will come back to you. If that so is your belief system. If you think spending this money is putting me in more debt, then you won't get a return on your spend. You will go further into debt and you will perpetuate that framework. Mm-hmm. So a baby step to get out of the framework is to actually look at, I'm investing in myself. So that was our client's framework. That has been my framework for years, especially like, y'all think I just woke up one day and had all the knowledge to fucking coach people? No. I was trained with like the best. And when I was like, my coaching needs this new skill set, I went and fucking invested in it. And I invested. And now I've invested over $150,000 in myself. And that shit has come back tenfold because I see it as an investment. And sometimes I didn't have the money in my fucking bank account to do that. So I got resourceful. And so Ronnie, that's what you're saying, is like getting resourceful. I don't actually know. She didn't have like a whole conversation about it because she was already investing in herself. She just knew it was the next step. She didn't bitch about it. She didn't moan about it. She knew it was uncomfortable. Then she figured out how to do it. And that was it. And like you guys, like, and so if you're listening, you just get to be like, well, what kind of person do I want to be? Do I want to be the resourceful one who jumps out of the fishbowl? Or am I going to be forever in this fucking fishbowl that sucks, is debt ridden? I'm always scarce with money. Nothing is growing. Or do I want to get out of it and grow and like do something else? Do I want to attract clients as if by magic? Do I want to have my bank accounts grow? Do I want to have that experience? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's a great point. Like going back to the framework that you're in, if you're looking at it like debt, scarcity, lack mentality, like no matter what you spend your money on, whether it's a coach, whether it's a stylist, whether it's a new car, a new apartment, if that's still your mentality, even though you sense it's the intuitive next step to take, let's say, it's still not going to come to fruition the way that you want it to, right? Because you're so focused on the debt, you're so focused on what if it doesn't work out, like I'm only piling up my debt, or what, like whatever that weight is for you.
Yeah, look, every moment of your day can be aligning yourself in the reality you actually desire. Every moment of the day. So if you like, you could take this next snippet of this part of the podcast, and it could be like this could alter your whole reality. Okay. So if I am, first of all, I live like I'm on vacation. I love every moment of my day. Some of them are real triggering because I'm deconstructing other people's realities, and sometimes I want to scream. But I live like I'm on vacation. I love everything I do. I'm in a rhythm that serves me. I've curated my reality so specifically that literally everything I do feels like an investment. I actually, and this showed up on I had a client call earlier today where we talked about the word spend. The word spend literally has this energy. That's weird, literally energy. It has an energy that feels like it never comes back. Spend, right? It kind of feels like that when you say it. So instead, if we're like, look, I'm going to invest in this burrito, I'm going to invest in this cup of coffee, I'm going to invest in this wardrobe, I'm going to invest in this new car, I'm going to invest in a new living place. Like I live and work out of my home in the mountains of Colorado, and I have like an amazing fucking view, and I love every inch of my house. I love every inch of my house. I invest all my love, attention, and adoration into my house. This house has tripled in value since I bought it because I've invested in it. So did my last house, tripled in value. So like, if I'm investing my time and my energy, like if I'm going out and I'm going to meet somebody and they're going to like, we're going to have coffee and they're going to bitch about their life, I'm going to invest my time and energy and supporting them if they want it.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky them. Right?
And begs the point, are you not always investing in something, whether it's something you want to invest in or not?
100%.
You're always spending your money, you're always spending your time, your money, your energy on things, but are you investing in the things that you want to spend your time, money, and energy on? And that could be a great first step to look too.
Yeah. If you're doom scrolling at night and you've lost 2 hours of your life and then you get pissed off, you invested in doom scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
You focused your energy there. Either love it and surrender or fucking, stop doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have choices. Get aware, make new choices.
Mm-hmm.
Choose consciously what you're investing in, but like go all in. And if you surrender and like going all in, your life will start to change. And so you could do that kind of haphazardly, but you could also do it like very, very consciously. And that's really like what I'm going to stand for is like really consciously looking at like where are you spending your time and energy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that's like a good first step for people who are looking to take the first step with uncomfortable action into their future self?
I mean, taking action with future self is just such a layered nuance, again, because you have to have such a strong foundation. If you don't have a strong foundation, just like, connect with Ronnie. Come hang out with us, okay? If you don't have the strong foundation, if you want to build a foundation, that's what we're here for. I spent 15 years trying to figure this shit out, and I figured it out, right? Like, and I've built a muscle to have a strong foundation in everything I do. So it like doesn't matter what you want to work on. I got your back, right? But you have to build the strong awareness. And then you have to be conscious of the actions that you're taking and why you're taking them and what's behind the behind. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's ultimately why people hire us as like for the program and hire me as a coach. It's because I can see behind real quick.
Thanks so much for listening. If you've resonated with anything we've said so far or had any new insights, chances are someone in your circle needs to hear this too. Think about that gal that's ready for her next breakthrough to step more fully into her divine feminine. Take 10 seconds and share this episode with them. Your share could be the catalyst for her next transformation. You got your person? You sent it to them? Okay, cool. Let's get back to the episode. Yeah, because if we're looking at taking the aligned action, like we said earlier, if you're taking action, but you have the fear, the doubt, the shame, the guilt in the background, then it's not coming to fruition anyway. Like you're still going to perpetuate the shame, the guilt, the doubt, the fear in the background.
Right. So, for example, if you have shame, fear, doubt, and guilt in the background, and then you take an action to upgrade your wardrobe, buy a new car, or get a new place, I do not sense you will fulfill and attract the money or the clients or the success you're looking for because you still have fear, doubt, shame, and guilt in the background. So your reality has to go to prove fear, doubt, shame, and guilt in the background. So you literally will create not success because you have energetically anchored in fear, doubt, shame, and guilt. It's really that simple, right? And so I see a lot of people, who start to attract, they're like starting to attract the success. It's kind of like, I have all these deals that are coming to fruition and then they all fall through. And you're like, because you're vibrating at a frequency of doubt, shame, guilt, and fear potentially. And it looks like a lot of different things because people will be like, well, I'm not afraid. And I'll be like, okay, well, do you think maybe, like, do you have this thought sometimes like the other shoe's going to drop? Yeah. Okay, well then, do you think that you're worthy of having everything be so good? Oh, no, not really. Okay, well, that's like doubt in the background. It's dressed up in a different word, but like it's the same energy similarly. Yeah. And it's like the stepsister of it. And so you're going to go take the actions consistent with the alignment of the future, but I don't really think it's going to happen though, truly. And then everything goes through.
And we think that if we just take more action, if we just work harder, if we strategize in a different way, then maybe it works out differently. But I think when you've seen the pattern a couple of different times, maybe you start to notice that maybe it's not the strategy, maybe it's not the logistics, maybe there's something with the energy.
And look, this is like very common, very common. This is not, don't feel guilty that you have it and like you're not aware of it or like it keeps going like that. That is literally like the hamster wheel. It is part of the framework of toxic system. So to deconstruct it and remove those energies, that's what I'm saying is like, that's where we see the big leaps and the big successes. So for people who like create overnight success, they are already aligned in that energy. If you're having a challenge creating success in a particular area of your life, like unprecedented success, like, wow, holy fuck, I love my life success, then you probably have some sort of pattern like that. Whether it's a fear, a doubt, and other shoe's going to drop, I'm not really worthy underneath all the proving that you're worthy. You know what I mean? Like it's always in the background. It's always in the subconscious. It's always in the thing that you can't see.
100%. And if any of our listeners are looking for like the action to take, like what does that look like to step into your new reality and take uncomfortable action to have it come to fruition? Like I'm happy to share my 4 that I just came up with this week.
Yeah.
So I shared a bit, like I was sensing into the thoughts, feelings, and actions for myself, the experience for myself that I'm stepping into, right? And some of the things for me to close the gap were, number 1, hiring or working with a stylist with like a $5,000 budget. For me, that feels like unlimited. Like I've never spent that much money on clothes before.
Yeah, once you spend $5,000, you'll be like, damn, should I fucking increase that bitch? Yeah. And everybody on the call, everybody listening, I know if you're listening and that made your butt pucker, you're welcome.
You're welcome. There's an idea for you. Second one was upgrading my office space and getting an interior designer to like help with my office space.
Yeah.
Third one was actually flying to New York or LA to meet somebody for coffee and like creating that experience now. Potentially first class. Who knows? Maybe I'll add that in there.
What the hell did you just say?
Potentially.
Listener listening in, message Ronnie directly and be like, bitch, I'm calling you out. You said upgrade experience and then you said potentially first class. No.
It's gonna be first class.
There you go.
You. And then the last one was visiting a TED event or a TEDx event because a lot of the vision that I saw was like me and Tamara traveling to TED events, TEDx events for her to be a speaker. So it's like, let me check out the space. Let me meet some people.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. So I think that's a great list. And look, if you're listening and any of that calls to you, cool. I actually have a recommendation. I'm going to give a little piece of advice. Get a coach to help you with that first. Okay. So if you're listening and any of this pinged for you and you want training in this kind of like leapfrogging jumping and like reality jumping and timeline jumping, reach out to Ronnie. I'm busy, very busy trying to be retired. It's a full-time job. See, do you like how I worked busy and like retired into it? I'm like, it's so busy. I'm filling up all my time with like really trying not to work. So Ronnie's my lovely right hand person.
I'm right there with you. Yeah, if you're really looking to take a leap into your future self and close the gap quicker, really that's what we're here for, is like close the gap quicker and experience that life quicker. I'll put the link below in the description so you can set up a discovery call with us. I'm happy to explore what that looks like with you. Or if it's not us, that's fine too. But like, we recommend working with somebody who can support you in getting to that next level.
Yeah. And the kind of support, this is my recommendation, the kind of support you're looking for inside of this reality jumping thing that we're talking about, this alignment, is not somebody to just tell you to go take actions. That's not actually it, right? You want to look for somebody who's skilled at being able to see the energy and sense the energy, what your thoughts and your feelings are, train you in them so you can get skilled in them, show you how to clear them so they don't come back. You don't want to keep fucking like, picking up the same dumbbell every day, like trying to build that muscle every day to like try to avoid that one pattern every day. Just like get rid of it and be super buff like me. I don't work out, but I'm super buff. Okay. Like that's what I'm saying is like learn how to clear the energy, know what you're clearing and go in to clear those patterns. That's what's actually going to serve you. And then the alignment piece becomes a superb no-brainer. Just really great. And, I think one of the other things is like when we're working with people, like we're on calls with our clients and stuff, like it's super easy to see if they're aligned in that reality and it's time to take the action, or if there's still something to clear, there's still something there, there's still, right? Like that's super easy for us to be able to see. So, that's what you want to look for. Like if you're looking for a coach to like do this kind of work is my point. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for mentioning that. All right. Well, Tamara, thank you for being on with me and sharing your infinite wisdom. Listeners, thank you for being on with us. We will see you all next week. Keep making magic, y'all. Thanks so much for tuning in. We are so grateful you'd spend time with us, shifting your perspective and expanding your divine feminine power. If today's conversation resonated with you, help us grow. Rate the show, subscribe, and keep following for more. And remember, we are here every Tuesday with new episodes. But until then, you can uncover your divine feminine expression with our Divine Feminine Archetype Quiz. Discover the blocks keeping you from accessing your divinity and get a step-by-step pathway to embody your authentic expression. And if you're looking to take your divine feminine journey to the next level, join our community and get access to our free 20-day meditation series. Start with just 5 minutes and increase by 1 minute every day to expand your divine capacities. Link is in the description. Until next time, keep honoring your divine feminine magic.